I'd like to introduce Teresa Moore. Teresa is one of our earlier graduates, and it's just great to see her come on and be a part of the organization. Always fun to have new graduates come in and talk, but looking forward to this topic. This is obviously a very timely topic for this year. But Teresa, thank you so much for speaking, and I will turn it over to you.
Oh, thank you very much, Gary, and welcome to everyone. I hope that you are all having an awesome day and that you are able to hear and hopefully use some of the resources that we have been able to provide on this slideshow. Feel free to tell me to slow down every time. Bear with me, I am a newbie on doing this, so I'll go ahead and jump into it. And so this is going to be on not just harvesting the garden, but it's also going to cover some resources to go to in order to get more information on when your vegetables are ripe, uh, knowing what to do with them when you're done. One of the main things that I really want to emphasize to everyone is that when harvesting your fruit or your vegetables and you are doing things from home, always make sure that you have washed things after you've taken them out of the garden and that everything gets washed a second time before it is cooked or preserved or put away in any fashion so that all of your food is safe, free of germs, free of debris, and it's clean, healthy, and ready to eat. With that, I'll get started. So, in case you missed it, my first piece of information is to get you the basics of everything you need to know quickly. And that is by copying the first two links that are on that first page. When are vegetables ripe? That will take you to a handout or a download. And the second one is preserving your food, which will take you to the WSU how to on canning or preserving just about anything that you could have in your garden or on your property. With that, I'll go ahead and get started with slide 2, and that is what we will learn today. Where to get your information, who to call if you have questions, what tools are you going to need to harvest, when are your vegetables ripe, and now it is picked, and what can you do with it? First thing I want to stress is that you really want to make sure that you have realistic expectations. When you are growing your own food, it is never going to look like it looks when you go to buy it from a store where somebody's handpicked multiple times everything that is perfect and it's shiny and it needs to look like a picture. However, yours will probably taste better and be much more nutritious. Okay, first resource is the WSU Home Gardening Series that anyone can download at any time. It is complete. It has got every piece of scientific information as well as just tips and tricks to harvesting your garden. Cowlitz County has available a WSU extension available for master gardeners, who are volunteers in the community that can help you find any information that you need to find, whether it be on planting, on soil, on bugs. You need identification of disease. They are all there and available to you by mail, email, or at the office. This is their contact information. In the Pacific Northwest, there are 3 sites that are mainly used, especially in Oregon and Washington together, and that is the WSU sites, the OSU sites, and the seed companies, where you can gain information from seed packaging on whatever it is that you're growing or harvesting. There is a WSU storing vegetables and fruits at home link that I've also provided here if you have any questions. Freezing fruits and vegetables. This is what the PDF looks like that you can get from WSU to get more individual information. And if you still need more references to go to, you can again reach out to the Master Gardeners program. Fun veggie fact. Here, something to keep in mind is that freezing can change the texture of your vegetables. Sometimes, not always, but frequently. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them, but things are going to look a little bit different after being frozen or processed than when you open up a can or you open up a package that you're getting from the store. But it's still delicious. Take pride in everything that you've grown yourself or that you're canning and preserving yourself. What task will you use to harvest your garden? You will pick, trim, cut, dig, separate, remove excess soil, wash, and store. The main thing to remember is never use tools that are dirty. You always want to make sure that they are free of debris. They're not rusty looking, they're not pitted, because you are working with things that you are going to be feeding yourself and your family. When to harvest? Well, morning is usually the best time to harvest vegetables because they're dry, plump, and sweet. WSU has some basic information, and on these sheets, things that are highlighted in green are the times for harvesting those products. But also on this link that is down below for you, it will also give you your planting and harvest guides by month for different types of plants. When are vegetables ripe? Dry beans, pods should be well filled, and they will be starting to turn brown. There is additional information on the slide if you want it. I'm not going to go into everything. I'm going to go over and give you an overview so that we can cover the most vegetables in the least amount of time. Green beans. Green beans should snap off easily, but the ends should be flexible. Small beans should be like a quarter of the normal size that they would be. They're great, frozen or fresh. Beets, start picking them when they're about 3 inches or below in order to not have things that are woody. For best flavor, you want a medium size that is less than 3 inches. Broccoli, you cut when the flowerets are green, tight, and before they have any kind of yellowing. If they do have yellowing, those are what you want to cut first because those are going to be the most mature and you want to eat them before that they are in full flower. Brussels sprouts, cut from the bottom when firm and bright green, and it will continue to produce right up through your first or second frost until things freeze. And even after they've been frozen, you can cut the entire stalk, whatever is left, and harvest what is left. Cabbage should be about 3/4 of the way grown or more, and the head should be firm. For melons of your summer melons, I'm not going to go into each individual one, but the melon should come off the stem easily, and the base, the part that is sitting on the ground, should not be white. It should be a golden color. Carrots, make sure that you wash them before eating. Don't just eat them straight out of the garden. It's always a pleasure to do so, but it's not necessarily the healthiest thing to do. So carrots, make sure to wash before eating and harvest them before they're 2 inches in diameter because they will be the sweetest at that point. Cauliflower should be firm and white. Purple varieties will turn white as they are cooked. Again, everything that I am covering, I have if it's good, fresh, or frozen as well. Corn, you want to pick when the silk turns dark and is dead on the end. It's completely dry. Corn should be picked when the kernels are plump, full, and milky. When you take your thumb and you press it on the end and you've got a full squirt coming. You want to cook corn as quickly after picking as possible because it will have the best flavor and be the most sweet. Cucumbers are best when not quite full size. They are green in color, they're firm, and they're less than 2 inches in diameter. Pickling cucumbers are a little bit shorter, stocky, and you want to make sure that they are not as long. Eggplant is best when it's 1/3 to 2/3 of the way grown. The color is bright and shiny, and overripe eggplant starts to dull as it starts to mature, but you want it nice and firm, so it's best to not let it get over 2/3 of the regular size. Sunchokes or Jerusalem artichokes are best before the ground freezes. They can also be dug in the early spring. If you want to winter them over, you can still leave them in the ground, but you want to make sure that you mulch them very well. Shallots, also called green onions or shallots, you want to make sure that they are ripe, and that would be a 1/2 inch or more. You don't want to let them get much more than 1.5 inches, or the texture is just not nearly as good and the flavor is not as good. So basically from 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches, depending on if you are serving them on the table or if you are cooking them, slicing and cooking. Peas. Green peas, are ripe when the pods are bright green and they are filled, unless you have a Asian variety that you're using for like stir cooking, in which case they're going to be flat and they're going to be very nice sized. Peppers are ripe when firm, the skin is shiny, and they are full size. Potatoes. For new potatoes, you want to get them when they are just usually less than 2 to 3 inches in diameter. As far as the full-grown potatoes, you want to make sure that when you dig them that they are not green. If they are green tubers, you should either put them back in the ground or put them somewhere where it is cool, dark, and dry so that they finish developing. You should never eat or serve any type of potato that has green on it anywhere. It's just not, it can cause sickness. Pumpkins are ripe when the base of the fruit is a golden. It is not white, just like our other summer melons. You want to make sure that they thud when you hit them, you knock on them, but they should also, the portion that is sitting on the ground, whether it be on its side or on the bottom, should not be white. It should be a golden color. Rhubarb, you want to cut the stems anytime that they are large enough and that you want to harvest them. You want to make sure that you always throw away the leaves. Leaves of rhubarb can be poisonous if eaten, and just throw it in your compost. And you can use rhubarb just like you would use apples or any other type of solid fruit for breads or baking or just mixing with other types of vegetables, but ideally they're really good in baking. Rutabagas are ripe at 3 inches or above. You want to make sure that you dig them before the ground freezes. If they get much bigger than 3 4 inches at the max, they can start to become woody and the flavor is a lot more strong. Spinach, chard, kale, you want to pick those when the leaves are at your desired size. And they mostly, if you keep them mulch, they will continue to grow even through your first couple of frosts. Sometimes you can even winter them over if you have a really mild winter. Swiss chard, again, sometimes mine will last all year long if I keep it well composted and use in place even after your spinach and your other leafy greens are gone. If you cut your Swiss chard down to the ground, a lot of times it'll just grow right back for you your next year. Summer squash is ripe when they are easily dented with your thumbnail. Pick when they're small or medium sized, unless you want to use them for baking or just shredding, something like that, in order to be able to use for bread or something like that. Some people make chips out of them, but in any case, they're also good grilled or stir-fried. Tomatoes are ripe when they easily come off of the vine. Size does not indicate the ripeness of your tomatoes. There are so many different varieties. Some people like to pick them green and let them just ripen in a window. Some people like to keep them on the vine, as it's said that that keeps them fresher longer. However, it's all up to your individual taste. You are the gardener, you are in charge. It's your harvest. Turnips are ripe after they are 1 inch in diameter or bigger, but they're best before they are 4 inches, because again, these like turnips can become woody at 4 inches or above. They can withstand several light freezes. And they're very good, either raw or cooked, mashed. You can do many different things with them. Watermelon is ripe when the bottom of the fruit is golden yellow, not white. And also, watermelon can be very, very good as pickles, taking all of the rind off the outside of the rind. It is something that is a real treat. So, and the rest of watermelon can be frozen, it can be dried. There are many different things that you can do with watermelon. So some basic cooking ideas that I included are available on the WSU website, but also in the next slide, there are some resources for you that you can just copy the 4 links. There's one for food preservation, making a record of what it is that you preserved and how you preserved it, because next year you may want to do something different. There is a food safety considerations link, which is very important when you are harvesting and processing your own food for consumption. General gardening, the master list is also there for you, that link. The home vegetable gardening in Washington, which is different from what may be on the eastern side of the state versus what is happening in Oregon or Idaho. And then freezing fruits and vegetables from OSU. It's a great guide. And I would like to thank you for coming today and for everyone who's been able to join us. Please click the link below to tell us how we did, how we can be of service to you in the future, other subjects that you would like to see covered. If you have any questions, feel free to ask now, or if you would like any of the links to any of the information that was provided to you today, we'd be happy to forward that to you.